Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Do you enjoy spiritual conversations? Are you a seeker of spiritual information? If you are, then you're in the right place because we're going to be talking about how we seek for spiritual information to validate our experiences as a spiritual being. And so tonight is all about that and a resource that we have just for you, and that happens to be Star Nations Magazine. And so tonight is Tuesday, November 12th, and it is a cold day here in Toma, Wisconsin. Our high today was 16 degrees. That's cold. No snow, but 16 degrees. Yeah, right? It's definitely bundle up weather. And what better kind of weather than to stay in and watch a live stream and talk about a topic that we really enjoy, right? Right. So, let's see. I think I'm going to take my phone, and because I should have done this earlier, but I didn't have time. I am going to I'm going to send this live stream over to my personal page, my profile page, and so that we have. Whoops. Now I don't understand why I can't share it. Rats. All right. I think I know. Because I need to change my. Oh, come on. Rats and a half. There we are. Now, well, thank you for whoever sprinkled it over someplace else. I appreciate that. I can't seem to get off this my page here. Hang on. I'm going to share as myself. See if that makes a difference. It does. Every so often we have issues with Facebook, and it's not huge issues. It's just that sometimes they change things, and if I'm not in there, I used to be in there every day. If I'm not aware of it, then when I come in, it's like, what happened? So I'm going to send it over to. We're going to go to the Academy and to the live stream shows, right? And then over to my personal profile. And yeah, there we go. There, that'll do it. That'll do. So, hi, everybody. Welcome to those that are in the live chat. Let's see who's here, and that those who will be watching the recorded show. Thank you so much too. Okay. So, what? No audio? Oh no. Okay, Rochelle says she can hear just fine. All right. I'm gonna test it out on my phone. Yeah, I don't. Let's see. We had this the other night, didn't we? So let's see. I have my volume turned up on my phone, and I don't hear it either. Okay. Lisa, she hears me loud and clear too. Well, heck. We did this the other night. I'm going to refresh my screen just in case, okay? And so I'm going to be on just for a second. There. I don't know if that's going to make any difference for us, Rob. Let's see. I've got my testing it on my phone. Well, that's weird, isn't it? All right. So with my refresh, Lisa and Rochelle, can you hear me? Yeah. Because, you know, the conversation we're going to have tonight, I think is important because we're all seekers. Have you ever considered yourself a seeker of spiritual information or seeker of information in general, right? Because I think that as two-leggeds, we're really curious. And so whenever something intrigues us, you know, we go and we investigate, right? We research, we check it out. And sometimes we actually learn some things that are pretty cool, and then we start applying it or using it somewhere else in our life, right? Okay. Okay, so Rochelle says she can hear. Yeah. Oh, and thank you, Rochelle, for sprinkling the show, showing it some love, right? Okay. Lisa's saying that it was loud and clear for her too. Good one, thank you, Lisa. He says, I can hear on the iPad, but not the phone. I can't get comments on the iPad, but I can on the phone. Isn't that Mercury retrograde at its finest? I know. I wonder, you know, I don't know. I'm not going to turn my phone off to test it out. But as soon as other people come on, if they have issues with their telephone, their smartphone with audio, maybe they have some other device they can use. Yeah. That's weird. Yeah. And Rochelle says she says she's very curious and loves learning on a spiritual quest all my life. Me too. Me too. And I think, Rochelle, I think that you kind of hit the nail on the head of it, because I think that there are certain souls that are having this earth experience that we start searching at a very young age. We might not even realize that's exactly what we're doing, right? Not until maybe we're older, we start piecing it together and realizing that we really prefer certain kind of reading material, right? And that we really get good at researching certain things, and especially now with the internet, right? Although with the internet, got to be careful. You got to really, really take a look at the information and how valid it is, and really discern for yourself what you're reading and what you're seeing, right? Because we have to use all of our senses, not just our two eyes, right? Our physical eyes. So, for instance, at an age, I was contemplating. Not that I use that word, but I was thinking about. I think it was like in Bible school, because my mom did put us into a Bible school in the summer times. It was fun, you know. All little kids like to learn about Jesus and how he loves all the children, right? And so I remember the pastor saying something about, you know, that we have our soul's immortal, you know, that kind of thing. But he was also talking about how when we die, we go to heaven, right? And then he was talking about the end times and to little kids, and I remember thinking, I don't know if I believe that. You know, and then I grew up questioning that, and even my mother would say, you know, that's too big of a question for such a little girl. But I found I think it was in junior high, or maybe it was in 7th grade, when I read my first book about Gandhi, because I kept thinking to myself that if we're all supposed to come back at the Epiphany, right, when we're all supposed to come back on that Judgment Day. And I thought, man, that's a lot of people, both, especially if those that have died are going to come back and to be judged, and we get to come back in this body, then what? Okay. And I had just learned in biology about carrying capacity, right? And so I was thinking, this doesn't make any sense at all to me. And I thought, well, it could make sense if we come back not as in the physical body per se, but if we come back as a soul, and maybe we had more than one life, right? So this is me, right at, what is that, age 13, didn't even know that there was the word called reincarnation. And so, yeah, that was me. I was a seeker from a very young age. I don't know if there's many of you out there that were like that at that young of age. And, getting used to asking the questions and being told not to ask that question, or that's something that you'll find out later when you get older. Those kinds of things, Yeah. But we are a curious species. And so we continue, even though we get told to be quiet. There's other ways that we seek that information, right? All right. So then there's those of us, and sometimes it's the same people, that have the experience of interaction with spirit, right? Those of us that could hear somebody walking in the hallway and you take a look and there's no one there, right? Or that you hear somebody telling you a story and explaining something to you, and it's like being read a story, right? Clairaudient, clairvoyant, clairsentient. We didn't have those words. We didn't have that vocabulary, perhaps. And so we are experiencing these things, and we want to know, am I normal? And you don't really share it with anybody because you think that they're going to think that you're crazy, right? Well, thank goodness I chose the family that I chose for this particular reason, not for other reasons, but for this particular reason, and choosing to come in as a Native American, right? Because my mom was really open to hearing about spirit. Now, it doesn't mean that she didn't scare her sometimes, but it did. I did have an opening to be able to ask those questions about spirit. Those kinds of things, right? And so as we're looking for that validation that what we're seeing, hearing, or feeling is true, right? So we're blending that seeker of knowledge with our intuition and our connection to spirit. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound familiar to you? Yeah. Lisa says, I am a seeker. Me too. Me too. And so Rochelle says, I was and still asking. Me too. Me too. I don't, as long as we're in this physical body, having this physical experience as a spirit, I think we're going to be asking questions until the last breath that we take from this physical body, right? Because once we do that and we go back into spirit, everything is going to make sense. We're gonna have those moments as spirit saying, oh, that's why that happened. Or, oh, that worked out really well. Exactly the way we planned it. It worked out really well. And these are the things that I learned, right? That's my imagination. That we're going to be able to take everything that we've experienced and to be able to have that realize that soul growth, right? Yeah. Lisa is saying, I was told by Catholic priest that if I believed in reincarnation, I would go to hell. That was devastating as a child. I don't know why I asked him that at the age of 10-ish. I know, why I think, Lisa? I think it's because, we're trained from a very young age to look to an adult to give us validation. Right. And so we search for the adult that's going to say, yeah, that's a good question. And what you're feeling or what you're thinking about that, you're spot on. Or nope, you're way off base. You have to look in another direction. Right. And so I think that we seek for that validation, and some of us carry that into our adulthood, that we're looking for other people for that validation. Right. At outside validation. Well, here at Star Nations, as you know, for those of you who are part of the Star Nations community, that we encourage you to ask questions. We encourage you to make comments about the different topics that we're talking about, right? We encourage you to share your experiences with us, right? And so that's what this show is all about. One of the things that I've learned a few years ago, because this past October was our 6th year in creating the Star Nations magazine, our 6th year. And out of those 6 years, one of the things I learned early on was that many of you were reading the articles that our contributing writers provide for the magazine and using it as a resource, right? Checking to see if it resonated with you, discerning, does this fit me? Does this not fit me? And actually having your own insights that says, that's why I went through that. That's why I had to speak to that person. That's why I had to read that book, right? So you're taking the information and you're using it in your life to validate yourself and what that feels like. And so you could kind of say that in a way that Star Nations magazine is a metaphor for that adult that we're all looking for to say, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. To be able to give us validation, right? But I also have to share with you that I so enjoy the creative process around the magazine. It really does fit me really well because I have this at the very beginning of each issue when we're starting out to pull together the information, and it's in the raw state possible, right? I have that adrenaline rush of creation. And so for me to have that, carry it through that entire issue, and then at the end to actually have something tangible in many cases because it's print on demand, but we actually have a completion, right? And so it fits because when something gets to the maintenance stage, I just start looking for other ways to expand. Yeah, I'm learning how to balance that out. Actually, I'm right in the middle of that. So thank you, Lisa, for sharing that about your experience as a 10-year-old, right? And so hopefully, I'm hoping that you took that experience and didn't allow yourself to be shut down, but maybe you started seeking in a different way, right? In a different way. I think that we all find that path as seekers of spiritual information. We all find that path. And what do they say? There's many paths up the mountain, right? So there's absolutely no wrong path. It's just different. It's just different. So with that, what I want to do is I want to show you the cover of this month's magazine. Here, let me turn off the crawler first. There we go. And this is the cover of this month's magazine, November magazine. Did you know that November is the Native American Heritage Month here in the United States, Turtle Island, North America? And so we get to share with you lots of information about Native American lifestyle, beliefs. And in this issue, it's no different. I just love this cover. This woman that I found for this cover, to me, really depicts a modern Native American woman, right? That she is knows her culture, is involved with her culture, right? She looks happy. I really do like this picture for this cover. I was happy dancing in the kitchen when I found this picture. And so, yes, we do have articles in here about, and I focused in on Native American women rather than the whole Native American nations. And also Veterans Day, gratitude, right? The occult are just a few of the topics. Let's see, let me get the topics for you here. I'll read them to you. We have the gratitude, Thanksgiving, Native American women, Veterans Day, and the occult. Those are the top, the articles that are in this particular issue. Yep. Yeah. Lisa's saying, I feel joy when I look at that cover. Me too. I had, different images selected for this particular cover. And I was looking at the three of them side by side. I had Thanksgiving. I had this one. And I also had one of another Native American woman that was that had a more modern feel to it because she was holding on to her cell phone, and visibly, she had long dark hair and she looked Native American. But when I had the three up together, this is the one that jumped out. This is like the one that was saying, "I'm it. Take me. I'm yours." Right? Yeah. That smile has something. That's for sure. You can tell that whatever she was thinking or feeling at the time, that smile is real, right? That smile is real. All right. And I wanted to show you something else. This is not quite about the magazine. Somebody was asking me why I didn't use this particular picture for the magazine. And I said, well, number one, I'd feel kind of funny having my own picture on the cover of my own magazine. Yeah, this was taken a few years ago. That I have a Potawatomi blouse on, and I had I think I remember the wool skirt or something like that, and my drum and my shawl, earrings and a necklace my mom made me, and so I was in my native dress, that's for sure. As you can tell, it was a few years ago. My hair is pretty long there, but it didn't exactly. I didn't get the feeling from it. Knowing that my own picture probably had something to do with it, but compared to the other picture, I think the other one there was more emotion about happiness in that one. This one is more like a headshot, Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna get rid of that one, and we're gonna get rid of that one. I got a couple more pictures I want to show you. And bring those up. The new way that BeLive has this isn't exactly as easy as it used to be. All right. So we also have Veterans Day. Veterans Day is one of the topics. Now, for those of us who maybe have a military family member, friends, right? I grew up in a military family. My dad was in the World War II, and out of my four brothers, two brothers was in the military. My oldest brother was in Vietnam. When Paul and I got married, he wasn't in the military. He came home one day and said he joined the National Guard. I think we weren't even married a year yet. And so anyway, I've been around the military my entire life. And there's pros and cons to it, of course. But, Veterans Day is a time when we acknowledge those that have stood up and said, I'm going to do this because I feel that this is part of my calling, my duty, right? And the author of this particular article, Veterans Day 2019, Sharon Rosenblum. Now, Sharon is one of my sisters, actually. And so I've known Sharon for quite a long time. Sharon wrote this particular article, channeled article. And I have to say that this is the first time she has, as she said, stepped out of the channeling closet. Because we've known her to be a channel for many years, but she has never shared it so publicly before. And reading this article, I could certainly feel it, that it was a very powerful piece in here. One of the things that she shares about is her experience as a veteran, as a flight medic during the Vietnam War, towards the tail end of the war, and what it was like for her as a female in a medical unit, and being there with those who are wounded, right? Those that are dying. And she actually went to the veterans cemetery in Milwaukee. We've got three of them here in the state of Wisconsin. She lives in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And so she was there and she took this picture there. And she said that that was the first time, and she went by herself. She said, and that was the first time in public that she allowed spirit to connect with her. And she goes, and there were so many in spirit in the cemetery. And so having conversations with some of them and connecting with some of them that were Vietnam era veterans, right? And she said, and connecting even with some of those that were Civil War spirits. And so, so this article is very heart touching, but it also gives us this peek into a light worker, an energy worker, and how she uses her gifts as a contributing writer. And I'm so grateful and honestly honored that she writes for us. And she's also one of our lead editors too. So if you have a chance to read this article, let us know, your feelings about it, because it really did, for me, it touched my soul. And so, and this probably has to do with because I come from a military family, but it's it's one of those pieces that you get to say that it touched me, right? Yeah. All right. Here's another one. This is Orchard Franklin's piece. She writes under the column, The Mystery School. And this one is all about gratitude and how we can live a life of gratitude. And she gives us some insight and also some tips on how to be able to do that. Right. And one of her famous guided meditations about gratitude. Yeah. Guided meditation. And if you've ever experienced one of Orchard's guided meditations, you're in for a treat, right? Because she can get you there, and she can get you deep, and so that you can actually, in this particular meditation, really feel those feelings, the emotions of gratitude, and what that feels like, right? Because a lot of us talk about it, right? And a lot of us are and have gratitude, but to be able to feel it at a heart level is helps us to step into that frequency and to be able to remember what it feels like, so that when we have the opportunity to do it again in our lives, as we apply it in our lives, makes a huge difference. Huge difference, because your frequency is going to go up. Mm-hmm. Don't you just like this picture too? Here, I'm going to do one of these things. I saw this image for Orchern. I was looking for an image for Orchern's article, and I thought, oh my God, that is so pretty. Because cornucopias don't always come out this great. Gratitude. So as a seeker, when we start learning about words and phrases and being consciously aware of the words that we use and the speech that we have and the thoughts that we have, this is the kind of article that can help us to be take those tips and see which ones fit us, and then try them on and see how that adjusts your frequency, right? Yeah. And so many of us already do that, but perhaps it's not conscious, right? So Orchard Franklin and her guided meditations they're pretty good. Oh my gosh. Okay. Tony Charette. Tony Charette writes under the column for the Sacred Masculine, and he wrote this particular article for us as a featured article in this magazine. So it's a bit longer. It's a bit longer article. It's Native American Women Two-Spirit Style. Tony is a two-spirit being, and it's a very difficult concept to understand, right? And in Tony's writing of this particular article, we were in contact, I think 4 times over this past month. And actually before that, because he actually started writing this article, I want to say in late August, early September. And he rewrote it 4 times. Because he wanted to get it just right. And then on that last time, he let it go and allowed Spirit to work through him the way he usually does. And what came out was how he speaks and helps us to understand the life of a two-spirit and how far back in our history does it go? Those that are two-spirit, right? Yeah. So if you've never heard the term two-spirit before, coming from a Native American point of view, this article will help you understand it as that seeker. And if you are Native American and when you read it, and you can understand perhaps yourself better, because Tony, what he does in this article is he helps us to understand a very complicated, a very unique way of being. You don't choose to be two-spirit. Spirit chooses it for you. I like how he starts it out. He says, I can imagine the reader thinking, Native American women, two-spirit style, written by a male person? Is that even remotely possible? And he says, why, yes, it is. And hear why it is. Because Tony is a two-spirit. And it's more than what some people would only label it as gay, lesbian. It's more than that. It's more than that. And he actually gives us some history about what he was taught through stories, what it was like in, our past, Native American past, yeah, we're talking hundreds of years ago. And how the life of a two-spirit flipped around. When they used to be revered, when they were part of village life, to what in the last maybe decade or two actually starts coming out, how they've been treated, right? And so this is an impactful article that will hopefully help you as a seeker understand another perspective, and it may actually help you to identify on whether or not you're two-spirit, right? And it resonates with you, right? Now, when I was looking for an image for Tony's article, you can almost imagine what it would have been like for me to try to figure out how we're going to depict a two-spirit Native American woman. But here is one I found. She's called Pretty Nose. And she was a warrior. She was a warrior chief. And there's not too many of those in history. And she actually participated in battle. She actually had a wife, more than one. A lot of people don't know that. And so Tony was actually able to open up a part of Native American world in what we would say in a good way, in a very respectful way, to be able to help others to understand two-spirit. Yeah. Lisa saying, nevertheless beautiful. I think she was talking about my picture. Thank you. Hey, Barbie's here. Hello, Barbie. Good to have you here. Good to have you here. So, this is a really, like I said, impactful article. That if you're a serious seeker of spiritual information, you want to read this one and keep that information as a resource, because as you begin walking your path, you're going to know that you're going to be meeting two-spirit people. You are. And what another good way to be able to respect how they walk this life, right? All right. Couple more pictures I'm going to bring up for you guys. Hang on. It's going to take me a second. All right. Let's see. Scrolling. I'm going to add, and add. There we go. I got 3 more to go through. Okay. So here's the next one. Minnie Kansman's article. She writes under the column, Nature Adventures. This is one of the best trips I've ever been on in a long time. That was in Ireland. And so this particular picture was taken when we were in the Rocky Mountains. And she writes about gratitude and how it's expressed in her life is through friends, flowers, and family. And so she chose this picture because we were her inaugural group in her travel business. This was the first outing that she took under that banner, and took us to do forest therapy in different places around Estes Park and Rocky Mountains. And it was gorgeous. And so she shares in her article about how much gratitude she has in her life from her friends and her family, and something that she just holds so dear, and that's nature spirits. And she gets that through gardening most often. And so she also has pictures. And now there's something about Minnie's articles, her column, that has become, I don't know, what's the good word for it? It's one of the mainstays in her column, and she's becoming well known for it, and that is her photographs. She went out and got her, I told her, she's been writing for us for 6 years. And on the end of that first year, I said, Minnie, we need better pictures. We need clearer, not fuzzy pictures. And so either, we go out and we find some that we're going to purchase, or you have to learn how to take better pictures. And so what she did is she invested in her writing. And that is, she went out and bought a better camera, and she learned how to take better pictures. And so her pictures literally write her column for her. She figures out what pictures are going to go into what column, talks to her spiritual team, and they pick out the topic together. She goes through her photographs, and the photos write her article for her. That's a very, very feminine way to be able to communicate. Yeah, I don't know if you guys knew that. Imagery. Yeah. Lisa says, my grandchild is two-spirit. I will have to order this. Yes. Now, Lisa, you know that it comes in print, right? And we're going to get you the links in the comments. It comes in print on demand. It also comes as a PDF or web viewer. And those three things, what that means is that the web viewer and the PDF, is that it's digital, okay? And you can use any one of your devices to read the magazine. I think, Rochelle, you have that, don't you? Yeah, through Meg Cloud. And so you can download the PDF and read it there. Or if you don't want to keep the magazine on your hard drive, then you can get the web viewer, and it's kept by Meg Cloud in the cloud for you. But you can look at it, view it anytime you want to, right? If you have a smartphone or a cell phone, right? Whether it's an iPhone or an Android, you can get the magazine as a digital from iTunes or Google Play Store. Yeah. So lots of different ways to be able to read it. And let me know once you read the article, let us know what your thoughts about it. Okay. All right. So back to Minnie's article. Yeah. The way that she writes is most definitely a very feminine way of communicating, because the images, the pictures tell the story, right? Yeah. And she's one of my sisters too. We'll just add that in there. Okay. Next. Oh my goodness, I got to take a drink of water in this one. This was a challenging editorial for me to write. I'm going to get overclapped about this. There are thousands and thousands of Native American women and girls missing and murdered in Turtle Island. Now, Turtle Island is all of North America. And it is underreported. And you might wonder why. There's a couple different reasons why. One is some of it has to do with jurisdiction, legal means. And the other one is many times, whether it's on a reservation or whether it is in a state jurisdiction, county jurisdiction, that these cases are low priority for whatever reason. And many times it's political, right? And this image of this young woman, it has become a symbol of a movement to bring to light this situation. And there are gatherings all across Turtle Island about the missing and murdered. And the red handprint over the mouth is very symbolic about that. And so I started off this article because I was doing the research to help bring the numbers kind of thing. And did you know that as a Native American woman, it's 10 times higher than the national rate that a Native woman will go missing or murdered? 10 times the national rate. Yep. And so it's one of those things that I wanted to share with you, because I think that the more that we shed a light on something like this, we really are saying out loud that this can't go on. This shouldn't go on. And that we see you. We're seeing what you're doing, right? Yeah. And how I started out this editorial was about, I asked if you know Tina Fontaine. Do you know Tina Fontaine? Do you know why she's even significant? She's a young Native American woman that was found wrapped in plastic, submerged in a river. And it was her murder that brought this to light the most, because social media got behind it. And the Canadian authorities they couldn't just let it go. They couldn't just say, no, this is a cold case, or, there's not enough evidence. Yeah. And so it was the sharing of information that really helped put Tina's murder on an international level. Yeah, that was us. Those of us who share posts, right? So this is a very important piece. And with this piece is also a pretty good video that I found that really helps to explain what it does to families. Because we can talk about the women that are murdered and missing, and the little girls. That's bad enough. Emotional enough. But so many times we forget about the families and what they're going through when their daughter doesn't come home, when their aunt doesn't show up, right? Yeah. And so for all of us, I think that we need to also teach our children, our daughters, that their lives matter, and that all life matters, and that they should cherish their life and to protect their life, and to make smart decisions in protecting themselves, right? They don't have to live their life in fear, but they do have to make better decisions about where they go, who they talk to, when do they talk to them, right? And we should also add our sons in there too, in how to treat another human being. How to communicate with a female, right? Yeah. So I think that there's a way to be able to do this together. And I hope that when you read my editorial, I would love some feedback on it. I really would. And maybe we should actually do a show about this and bring somebody on who has personal experience with it, right? Yeah. Lisa says, I'd like to physically hold feeling the energy of the magazine. Sure. That's why we have it on print on demand. She's also saying, I have posted the articles about this subject on Facebook, important to my heart. Yes, it is. And every single time, Lisa, I see another posting that they're searching for a young lady, a young woman, or a young woman was found, her body was found. It hurts my heart. I cry. I do. And I say a prayer for that soul and for her family. It's good to be able to be empathic about it, to help shift that energy. But I think that there's more that we can do about it. More that we can do. Like I said, it was difficult, a challenge to write. And I wasn't feeling well when I wrote it too. All right, this one. This is the last page of the magazine, the back cover. And I don't know if you guys have ever noticed on the back cover, we always have a really pretty, gorgeous astrology picture, but we also have a quote coming out of Native America, Star Nations, right? And so some people don't understand where Star Nations comes from, that term. And the term is Star Nations is because many indigenous tribal people, we have creation stories that say that we come from the stars, that we all do. Not just the Native people, but we all do. And so, and so that's where we get Star Nations from. And so in this particular issue, I found a quote, and they say that a Lakota village wise man said this, but it goes, you know what, it's going to be easier to read it from my notes because it's not quite so small. Hang on, let me scroll down in bigger print. It says, the old ones say the Native American women will lead the healing among the tribes. Inside them are the powers of love and strength given by the moon and the earth. When everyone else gives up, it is the women who sings the songs of strength. She is the backbone of the people. So to our women we say, sing your songs of strength, pray for your special powers. Keep our people strong, be respectful, gentle, and modest. Yeah. I read that and I thought, that can apply to all of us, right? To all of us. But since we highlighted Native American women, I thought this was a really appropriate quote. Yeah. Yeah, and I love that picture too. It's of the moon, and you can kind of see, the clouds below of the earth. Yeah, I like that picture. So as a seeker, like I said, the Star Nations magazine has become a resource for seekers of spiritual information. That it is a place that we can read from the experiences, the knowledge of the contributing writers, from their wisdom, because it's much of the writing that they do comes from their own personal life. Right? All right. I'm trying to figure out the best way to give you the links. I think I'm going to do this. Okay. I'm just going to give you all the links. That way you can choose for yourself how you want to do this. All right. So the Star Nations magazine. All right. So as seekers, when you read your November issue, please let me know which articles that you felt really helped you. Which articles was it that you felt was not just helpful, but maybe you would even pass it on to someone else because it might not have been for you, but you thought, oh, you know what? My sister needs this one, or one of my friends has been looking for this. And so, so you can pass it on, right? You can share it. So let me know. I enjoy that. Now, we've only got a couple minutes left. I also want to share with you just a little bit about, we are becoming very adept at Star Nations and Star Nations magazine to produce and publish a magazine during Mercury retrograde. It is always very intriguing, exciting, and sometimes some anxiety, but it all works out. And every magazine, every issue looks gorgeous when we're done with it. But, we have a whole team working on this magazine. We have all the contributing writers. We have all the editors. We have 3 editors that take a look at the magazine before it actually hits the newsstand. And we also have our team members over at Elm Publishing who do our layout for us. And I call them my elves, and they do have elfish magic. They do. I swear they do. Because even the most fuzziest pictures, they seem to really do really well with getting it to look beautiful. So this Mercury retrograde was very interesting. We also had one of the, actually I call her the lead elf over at Elf Elm, was moving from Washington State to Texas in the midst of publishing the magazine. And they happened to be my sister-in-law and my niece. They were traveling down there by car, so that my sister-in-law would fly back home. She was helping with the driving. So they're doing the layout on literally on the fly at hotels and that sort of thing. And so it was a different way of communicating with them this time around, and it all worked out. But it was like, I don't know, did you get that? Did it actually come through? Right? Yeah. So we have quite the experience in creating this magazine for you, and I hope you enjoy it. As seekers of spiritual information, I think you're really going to find many of the articles in the November issue helpful, enjoyable, and who knows, maybe it's going to help you with your soul growth too. Yeah. And Rochelle, she says, looking forward to seeing you on Friday. Me too. Rochelle is coming to Journey to Remembering class. That starts on Friday night. Yeah. And goes till Sunday, early evening. And we are going to have a very creative weekend. It's a weekend that is, we're going to be connecting our mental mind with our heart, and our thoughts with our emotions. We're going to remember how to create from our high heart. And we're also going to create our organic Merkaba. And so, yeah, we got a big weekend coming up. We do. And I'm looking forward to seeing you and Deb, Rochelle, and we got a few other people coming to join us too. A mother and daughter are coming to be with us. And a friend of mine from Chicago is coming up, someone that I helped train. She's coming up to help with the class. And Julie Shumway Hill is going to be here. And we are going to have a house full of women here. And I can't wait. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Rob says, I wish I could come. Long travel is not in the cards these days. That's okay. That's all right, Robert. Rob, you know what? Divine timing. Because next year, we're going to flip this around a bit, and we're going to actually hold it probably early summer. So we're not, having to talk to the weather spirits in order for it not to snow. And so you never know. Maybe the next time around, you'll be able to come. Right? Yeah. And Lisa's asking, have you done a story on the Lake Superior Spirit Stone? I haven't personally, but that is a great idea. I'm going to write that one down. Okay, Lisa? We're going to probably frame it in a way, because there's other places in Lake Superior that are sacred sites, Madeline Island, that sort of thing. So that's a great idea. Sacred sites of the upper Midwest, maybe. That'd be a good one. Thanks for that, Lisa. I'm going to jot that one down. Okay. All right. Well, we're at the top of the hour. Please enjoy the rest of your Tuesday evening, and thank you so much for being here with me tonight for a spiritual seekers, right? And I hope you purchase the Star Nations magazine, and let me know. Let me know how well you like the magazine and if it's been helpful to you. All right. So thank you for those that are in the chat. Thank you to those who are going to be watching this as a recorded show. Thank you so much for making time in your day and your evening to be here with me. Until next week, Communications from Home, Tuesday at 8 p.m. We'll be back here again. So Bama Mina, that's Potawatomi for until we see each other again. Love you guys.